Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Simon. We're doing philosophy through pop culture using real people's lives to learn about our own. We are reviewing Love is Blind UK Season 2 and this is episode 9. Let's see what happens.
So have you got any concerns about Sir saying no or anything?
Love is blind, but she's not.
Love that laugh. Okay, so this episode opened up with them getting fitted for their dresses, their suits, meeting the family, stuff like that. Just like, you know, the basic, every season they do this. So these are basically the bachelor and bachelorette parties.
What's playing on your mind the most?
Previous relationships, I've had what you call kind of yes girls. She is a very strong-minded woman, and I've got to be like, how do I adapt to that? And I don't think I've ever had that.
It'd be good for you to have a strong woman in your life. Have you two had a serious argument? You can understand how you both respond.
Man, okay, this is the issue I have with the way people phrase this question. Isn't it so flawed? Have you two had an argument versus have you two been in conflict over an issue in which you've had to problem solve? Because it makes people, especially young people who hear that, think it's normal to fight in relationships. I'm already fighting the world. I don't want to have to fight you too. I need somebody who's on my side, but not blindly. Like, I don't need a yes man. Like, he was saying he had yes girlfriends. Like, I don't want a yes wife. Like, I want somebody who is as reasonable and logical and compassionate and kind so we can come to the best conclusion based off the data. Like, we need to find solutions. So I hate the way people phrase this question.
We did actually have an argument yesterday and it was our first one.
Oh, they finally had one. Okay, let's see what it is.
What did you argue about? We went out for dinner and before we went out he said, look, I just want to make a point. I'm getting the bill tonight. Like, let's not argue about that. And I was like, yeah, sure, no worries. And naturally when the bill came, I was like, here's my card. So I didn't realize like how much it meant to him. So I was like, but it's just another bill, it's fine. And he was like, but I made my point. I wanted to be heard and you didn't hear me. And then you offered to pay and it just put him in a mood.
Yeah, it's just they just had a moment where they couldn't see one another and they didn't understand how important something was. I think in relationships and even our friendships, the way we communicate, sometimes we forget to put an emphasis on how something is important. Like, hey, this time it's actually really, really important that I pay for you. Like, this is a me thing and it's gonna hurt my feelings if you try to pay. And having your partner or friend really hear you versus, you know, she wasn't probably hearing how important it was. And so she didn't mean anything malicious by it. Like, she wasn't trying to, like, you know, it still hurts and it still is something your body has to process. If you're like me, you know, rejection sensitivity can be a thing, or you're autistic, so the way you process information, or even sometimes like I need very specific clarification that like, this is important. You need to remember this, because you know how sometimes people just talk and talk and talk and they just like, they're just talking. They're not really, they're saying something that even might be important, but they're not putting enough emphasis on it. So like my brain doesn't process it as like important unless you tell me like, this is important. And I'm like, okay, I'm locked in. Tell me what it is. Because otherwise like people just talk all the time. So maybe that's what was happening where, you know, it didn't seem like a big deal to her. And for him, it was like a very important moment. It's kind of like when you try to do an extra gesture and someone doesn't notice the gesture because they're so used to it being kind of a, this is what we do in all our date nights. But I don't want us to also assume that you have to make a insane gesture for it to be obvious. Like, I think sometimes, you know, when you look at someone in the eyes and it's just like you do that all the time, you don't think about it. But then sometimes you look at someone in the eye and you're like, oh, okay. Like, obviously the action of looking someone in the eye isn't unique or special, but the weight you put behind it, the look you put behind it, the emphasis you put behind it changes the context. And so I think that's what was happening here. She was experiencing something they do all the time, but he wanted to experience it with a little bit more emphasis. And then when that's a miscommunication, it can hurt. It can feel really sensitive, like I got rejected, and like rejection's okay. It's okay to feel hurt by rejection. It's also okay to understand that like rejection is ultimately like a consent issue, and so that's okay too. But it's okay to say, ooh, that really hurt my feelings. Can we talk about it?
This one. My dad would never let the family pay.
Okay.
So we went out.
Okay, so they both told the story almost verbatim the same. She used the word it got chilly, I think she said, and he said it got icy or something. They're both using very similar language. They're both talking the same way. Neither of them are talking with bitterness. Both of them are stating things that are very like, they're saying it in a very nice way so far. At least the tone I'm hearing feels really good right now, where it's just like, hey, this really happened. This is how we problem solved it. And these are the kinds of issues, by the way, that I think healthy couples do experience. Miscommunications, misreadings, accidental misunderstandings. Like, this is a normal thing that will happen throughout your relationship because people are different communicators. It's not a big deal, but see how like neither of them are escalating right now. Neither of them are calling each other names. Neither of them are gossiping negatively to the people around them. They're just expressing something that's very normal. So this is what I consider a very normal occurrence between friends, family, just like people, right? But this isn't what I would call like an argument or a fight. I would just call this like, oh, we're having a miscommunication. Let's get through this before we go to sleep.
I don't get why you're so upset. For this instance, it was more the fact that I felt like I wasn't heard.
I wasn't heard. I wasn't feeling seen. Yeah, like I think it's really normal in your marriage to say like, hey, I'm not feeling really seen right now. Can we talk about it? Even with a high compatibility partner, because at the end of the day, we are still biological creatures. We are still just people. And so we're going to be flawed in the way that we communicate or hear each other. Like, you can't be a perfect person. You're not going to perfectly always hear your partner. You're not going to perfectly, but I don't want you to hear me say this and then justify abusive behavior in your relationship because you're like, well, Brittany says sometimes there's a miscommunication. Yes, a miscommunication about something very not important, though can feel important because it weighs on a relationship, right? But I don't want you to hear this and stay with your toxic partner or in a toxic relationship because you're trying to, quote, understand that these moments will happen, unquote. You know what I mean?
I will look after you. You make him feel inferior.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so like this, okay, so this is interesting. So first he did say, if I'm not going to be seen, it's going to cause an issue, valid. 2, I think this is why we have to deconstruct gender because all of this is centered around the fact that like he's feeling like a man. The ladies are saying you're making him feel like inferior, like emasculated. But at the end of the day, regardless of his gender, it just wasn't, you weren't seeing him. No matter your gender, it always hurts our feelings not to be seen.
But right now, it does feel really uncomfortable.
It's okay to feel uncomfortable. That's really normal. Personally, you should expect to feel uncomfortable throughout your marriage at times because you are adjusting to 2 grown people who have lived their whole life. Like, I think that's the thing that people don't understand in marriage is like 2 don't become 1. 2 whole people become a team. And 2 people with their own individual personalities, hobbies, ways of speaking, ways of processing, especially if you're neurodivergent, like you have to take that into consideration.
So we kind of like button heads because we didn't understand each other's point of view.
It's interesting she described them both as stubborn and butting heads because they didn't understand each other's point of view. When you don't understand someone's point of view and it's like intimate and close and you're supposed to be trusting this person, regardless if you're stubborn or not, it's going to feel weird. So I understand coming from a very Taurus energy, very West Asian energy. I understand that there's a lot of, you know, you can imagine probably a conversation with me when there's like a disconnect. You know, I can either take the point of being like, what did you say? Or I can take the point of being like, I'm so sorry. What did you say? I didn't hear you. And I just like, I really want to understand. So, you know, it can be difficult, but that's why when you love somebody and it is your high compatibility partner, you are approaching all of these moments with the most good faith, like so much good faith. The debate bros would overdose from how good it feels, like so much good faith. Like, you know, this person would not maliciously deceive you or maliciously hurt you or on purpose ever want to cause you harm. So any feeling of harm that I'm experiencing has to be a misunderstanding and a mistake that we can fix. And of course, if you are being deceived and this person is actually malicious and gaslighting you, then you're in an abusive situation. Now, of course, you might say, well, how do you know the difference? Data, trial and error, and honestly earned wisdom. You can't guarantee that you won't be scammed or lied to or abused. Obviously, it's not your fault. All we can do is empower ourselves to understand people's character and our sense of values and morals, what we're willing to put up with and what we're willing to work on. Because I don't want you to put up with bad behavior. I want you to work on, but I also want you to be with somebody who's going to work on it primarily if they're the ones being, quote, in their bad behavior, right?
Hopefully it was just a blip in the road.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't sound like that big of a red flag to me. It sounds like a normal relationship. Like you will experience this 50 more times in your marriage, right? Like you have to, because it's going to be over something like something silly like hey baby, could you not put the glass on the table without a coaster? And then you do it again and you're not thinking because you're not used to using coasters, and your partner's like, hey baby, can you not put the cup on the table without a coaster? You're like, yeah, of course. And then you do it again. And it's like, yes, there's a transition period in which you have to transition into using coasters because you never did in your life. But also at some point it will be considered malicious because they've already asked you, you've agreed to it, put a coaster underneath that glass, girly. So we always have to be open to people transitioning into something, but also eventually you do have to figure it out. Now, of course, it might take some people like different lengths of time to figure it out, or maybe you feel like, hey, we've already had this conversation. I thought you would get it. Well, make sure, this person's having an embodied realization. Like, even for myself, I go through stages of hearing information and processing it in my brain, and hearing information and processing it in my body. It's like when your friend casually drops some lore about like their past childhood abuse, and you're just having a casual surface level conversation. You're like, yeah, okay, been there, done that. And then your friend comes to you, drops the lore with a very specific level of emotion that engages you, and now you're bonding, and now you're building a closeness based off that information. Like, I could have a friend tell me about their childhood trauma in such a way that we're not bonding. We're just like, yeah, of course, matter of fact. And then of course, when you have it and you're bonding. So same thing with relationships, like, hey, don't put the glass on the table without the coaster, can feel like casual, or it can feel like, if you do this, it's going to feel like disrespect. Example, similar to if you dropped a splash of coffee on the ground and didn't pick it up. Like, obviously, there are human beings, I've been to their homes, that will drop coffee on the floor, know that the puddle is there, and just leave it there. I have literally seen houses where dogs have taken shits in the living room or on carpet, and the people leave it there for hours. I am not kidding you. So obviously you have to make sure that you are being very clear with the person you are with. Like, just to be clear, we are not going to be those people. Like, that's kind of why I think it's so important to know who you are in the story. Are you the person in the story whose dog shit on the carpet and you leave it there for a few hours?
She feels different, doesn't she? I've never seen Meg like this. You deserve.
Cute. Okay, I'm glad that they see a glow in her. I will say, I had predicted that Kieran and Megan might say no at the altar, but now I'm wondering, after that conversation they had with Javin, if they actually are like pretty good at being on a team. Like, they seem pretty happy together.
To be honest, like, I find her career impressive. I find what she does very impressive.
Yeah. It's actually crazy. You watching her dance and you being so impressed.
Yeah.
Her watching you game and being like, ew.
That's the only part of Megan's dynamic with him that I don't like. It's like, I don't like that she's anti-gamer, but that's because like I married a gamer. Like, I've always dated gamers, but like I married a gamer. And also, I'm not even a gamer, but I also know that like being anti-gamer is like being anti-YouTuber. It's like being anti-dancer. So she's a dancer, and like, I just don't see the difference. It's like being anti-niche, or like, I don't know, like, it just feels weird, I guess.
Billy openly accepted my job, and just a few days ago he's saying the distance is going to be too much for him.
That's interesting, because based off the edit, I do recall him in the pods talking about his reservations, and I do remember in the pods her reassuring him that she's open to a job change. So I'm a little concerned that the way she's explaining the story here is, ooh, maybe she had the same issue that Jed and Bardha did, where you hear your partner say something, but you don't understand how serious it is. Maybe she heard it like, hey, but like, you're open to changing jobs if we need to, right? And she's like, yeah, if we need to. Versus, hey, do you understand that you will have to change your job to be with me? I have a feeling that's exactly what's happening, because it doesn't feel like Ashley's so malicious, but it does feel like she didn't take it seriously. Like, Billy was, hey, you're gonna have to change jobs. But to be fair, I think Billy also didn't say, I'm gonna need you to quit your job as a requirement of marrying me, which means that, again, it's no one's fault, but it's just a lesson to be learned in communication. Something that sounds casual to one person will sound serious to another, and vice versa.
I've never known anyone more passionate about their job than you.
And you're so good at it.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit unfair from his side. Really.
Oh yeah, this is they're not making it. They can't make it on this. It's a big miscommunication. I don't think either party was malicious, but I think this is exactly why miscommunication happens. And when it's something big like this, huge deal, versus something little like, hey, who's paying for dinner? Like, this is a big deal. Now, obviously, the who's paying for dinner can lead to something bigger, because death by many cuts.
I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Like, you don't feel like your bubbly self. Billy would be absolutely stupid to let you walk away.
I hate these narratives that he'd be so stupid to let you walk away. It doesn't make any sense. Like, at the end of the day, compatibility is compatibility. I just so dislike this narrative. It is so not helpful. because you're not allowing him to consent to the relationship he actually needs. You're like forcing him to choose her, which makes no sense.
You will never find anyone as amazing as you are.
Boo! He will never find anyone as amazing as you. Like, that just doesn't even logically make sense. It might sound good and make people feel good, but it's ugly. It's an ugly sentiment. Like, as if you're the greatest person who ever existed. Like, I really hate this narrative that Billy's not allowed to have the relationship he needs. I just don't like it because I also am more Billy in this relationship. I can't do long distance. I've done it before. I'm willing to do it temporarily. I'm willing to do it. Obviously, I married somebody in a different country than me, so I obviously did long distance. But full time, our regular life, absolutely not. So again, is she understanding that it's one thing to do it temporarily? It's another thing to do it all of the time forever.
Can't appreciate that, then I don't think it's the right thing.
Well, if you can't understand his perspective, it's not the right thing. Like, you're not fundamentally understanding his fears.
I've not come through this entire experience to get to the altar and it to be a no. Like, it's just not my intention here. I'm worried.
It feels like Ashley's the kind of person, instead of facing the red flags, is actually just pretending they don't exist so she can keep going forward, which is such a red flag. Like, girl, just have the conversation with him and say, do you need me to quit my job in order to be married to you? And like I said in one of the recordings, that's why you don't give it up for the person. You give it up for the logical reason that you came to this conclusion it was good. Like, you have to agree it's the right decision, not for your partner, but because it's literally just the right decision. And that's what's so frustrating with these conversations. It's like, oh, I did this for a man. Don't do anything for anybody. Do it because it's the right decision. Do the right thing, even if nobody else is doing it. Do the right thing, even if nobody understands it. But do the right thing.
Don't know about you, but my head's just going a million miles an hour.
Are you not quite there? You and Ash, like?
So things are good with that. They're always good with that. But something's just not sitting with me. I'm like, I love the girl.
Yeah.
We're the best thing that's ever happened to each other. Our real life starts whenever she's flying 3 days away, coming back. I don't want a marriage to be starting off like that.
This is what I was wondering, because Cal said, did this not come up in the pods? And he said it did, and we highlighted it. And we said if we fell in love, we would just work through anything. The dilemma is, again, I just don't know how much emphasis was in the conversation that, like, this is going to be serious. Kind of like kids. Jobs are like children. These are not topics you should take casually. These are very serious topics.
I'm looking forward to 3 or 4 days where we can actually chill, get some clarity.
It is uneasy knowing that you haven't got a final decision at this point of what next week will look like. I completely appreciate and respect that we both need this time.
She's so lovely. She really is so good at, like, reassuring, and yet I'm concerned that she's doing it at the expense of her own joy. She really is such a mom. Like, she's there for Katisha, she's there for Billy, but is she there for Ashley? Is she there for herself enough? I am concerned.
I don't know if there's any more I can physically do to show him that I'm enough.
No! This language is so dangerous. Ashley doesn't have to be enough. It's such dangerous language to be like, I've showed him, I don't know what other physical thing I can do to show him I'm enough. It's not about being enough. 2 amazing people doesn't mean high compatibility. This is why people settle in marriages, because Ashley's convinced themselves this has something to do with her being enough. It's not about being enough. It's about being the right person. And being the right person is not something you can force. You either are or you're not. I hate this language. It's so bad for us. It's so unhealthy for us to use this language. I'm very upset on her behalf. I'm upset for her, not at her, for her.
This is not how I want to be feeling. Days before my wedding?
Yeah, definitely you do not want to be feeling this way days before your wedding. Absolutely not. You know? And my wedding was a little different. We got ready together. I mean, we lived together. He helped me into my wedding dress. I helped him into his suit. We helped each other get ready. It was so romantic, honestly. Honestly, getting ready together is probably one of the most romantic things I've ever done in my life. This whole, like, separate from each other, don't see each other till the wedding day. Honestly, boo. You know, because of moments like this, like, we need to be with each other. This is the most serious decision we've ever made in our whole lives. It's just nice to make it together every step of the way.
I just don't want there to be doubt.
Fair. I wouldn't want there to be doubts. Absolutely not.
I just want to make sure that I'm saying yes to you and not just yes because, like, we are at, like, the altar.
I think it's hard to, like, say right now exactly where we'll be.
This edit is a little weird, but I'll just say this, that when we're having a miscommunication, if something shows up, what I always say out loud is, like, I love you and I am not having any doubts and no negative thoughts about you. I am frustrated at the situation and we're going to solve this together. Because even though we know that, I say it every time because it's important to reassure our own brains because we are products of our environment. We still have parts of our childhood we're healing from. We still have, different brains. And ultimately, you can't get sort of so comfortable in a marriage that you don't, reassure your partner. You should always be reassuring your partner, I love you. I'm not having any negative thoughts about you. I'm pretty stressed about this situation. I'm very frustrated. I have emotions and feelings. I'd like to solve this with you. Let's do this together. And we check in with each other. Like, is it okay if we talk about this? Because we don't want to go to bed, in miscommunication. But miscommunications will happen. That doesn't mean you're fighting. It doesn't mean you are attacking each other. It doesn't mean you're having issues. It means you're two human beings having a biological experience, experiencing life together, and you're having a moment where you need to actually be there for each other.
Yeah. So we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Love you.
Okay, they're reassuring each other. They're happy. I'm sure they're going to say yes.
There have been a few more bickers.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure if Netflix was playing up their disagreement more because they haven't had one. But she said since they left the apartments, there's been a few more bickers, which is an interesting word to use, like bickering.
I'm just concerned about how we handle it moving forward.
Hello.
Oh my God, you all look amazing.
I feel like the whole experiment and Jed has softened you up a lot.
I like being soft. It's nice to feel protected and I don't have to be strong, independent. Yeah, but also not too soft.
You have to walk in quite realistic.
These arguments that we've been having have snapped me out of my bubble a little bit.
Okay, so she said, I love that. She snapped me out of my bubble, the conversations. Her sister said it's normal to have, or her bestie, sorry, that's her bestie, it's normal to have these moments, but I want to know what that means. I would like to hear them expand upon it. I would like to hear what they've been bickering about because that, I think, is going to tell me a lot more.
I love Jed so much. That hasn't changed. It's hard to imagine going back to normal life without Jed there.
See how I feel like they're playing it up so they have some tension for the show? She didn't even explain what they were bickering about, which I can't tell if that's good or bad. Because now I can't tell, it makes sense to have doubts. It makes sense to maybe not. I mean, it makes sense to have doubts when you're dating, but maybe not when you're getting married. But again, this process moves them really quickly through it. So that makes more sense. They would have doubts given the context. Yeah, I wish they had let us know what they were bickering about just so I can get some more context, but whatever.
Got a good feeling of what she's going to say.
So you think she'll say yes?
Yeah.
Do you think the time you've had together is long enough to know?
Oh, and by the way, I understand that this is the premise of the show, but I would never get married unless we were on the same page. This idea that they don't know if she's going to say yes or no, absolutely not. You will never see me do something like this because life is way too serious to be doing something like this. But that is the whole point of Love is Blind, is you never know what people are going to say until you're at the altar, but absolutely not. Ultimately, it's our thing we're doing and we're inviting our friends and families to be a witness, but it's about us at the end of the day. This makes it feel like it's not about them. It's about the thrill of us enjoying the will they, won't they, which is just, to me, it's so unnecessary.
Very ambitious. She's loving, affectionate, family orientated. So all the things that I look for, I think you boys know all that.
How do you see that going, living together?
I can just see it. I can see it all. We've had a little bit of that in the apartments. It was loads of loving, loads of affection, loads of fun. But there's some things that we clash over. So.
Okay, let's see if he tells us what it is so I can have an idea. I also understand for the sake of privacy, they might not want to tell the whole world, but also let's see if it's worth telling us. I don't know.
So
on what?
Just how we communicate with each other. She said, I kind of spoke out of character. It was I feel maybe I want to get my point across and I'm not being heard.
Do these tiffs only happen in high pressure situations or is it just an everyday thing where we're going to bicker every day?
Yeah, I feel like it's normal. She is so strong-minded. She's very particular.
You both are.
I didn't appreciate how that was edited where he said, isn't it everyday bickering? And he goes, I think that's pretty normal. She's such a strong character. I know I bickered in my former relationships for sure. I don't think I bicker in this one. I think we have miscommunication moments, like the paying the bill moment, where I don't understand something is as important, or maybe he doesn't understand something's really important. And so we accidentally oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was I have to pay attention. Let me see. Bickering. Yeah, I wouldn't say we bicker at all. If anything, much like my parents, have very strong opinions about how things should go, but we always ultimately agree and come together on a point. So I don't think bickering every day is ever good. I can't even imagine a scenario where bickering is even normal. Like, I don't like passive aggressive behavior. I think it's disgusting. I'm sorry. I know people are passive aggressive, but I hate it. I think even if I do it, you know, because I'm being really cheeky, I go, that was passive aggressive, or like, ugh. Like, I don't like it being a part of people's personalities. Like, you ever know a person who's always passive aggressive? Yeah, that's ugly, bro. Like, personality wise, ugly. So you don't want that. So you don't want bickering. I don't like the idea that when you're strong or stubborn, that you're all of a sudden not movable, because even though it sounds contradictory, I actually think stubborn people are usually stubborn unless given the right data. And then if you get the right data, you should be able to be movable, which is me. If you're stubborn for stubborn's sake, that's also very bad. Stubborn for stubborn's sake is basically the same as being passive aggressive. It's like, why would you choose to waste your time on earth being either of those things when it's not helpful?
Do you think deep down you're ready to get married to her?
I wouldn't be in this position. I don't think I would be sitting here with you boys right now if I wasn't ready.
Yeah, I think they're asking such good questions, but they're not actually like getting an opportunity to have real answers. Like he says, how do you park it if you're having a moment of disagreement? And he goes, she's better at parking it than me, which isn't actually telling me how do you problem solve together.
I am deserving of a happy ending. I think my emotions will tell me everything I need to know when I get there.
Ooh, let's hope so.
I couldn't be more grateful to have met you through such an incredible experience. I took a huge leap of faith. My risk paid off and I met the love of my life. I promise that you'll never be unappreciated. I promise to work hard every day.
Yo, they had better say yes now. We know what's crazy is when they do make these big, huge speeches and then they say no. And I'm like, girl, you did not just say no. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, making you happy.
But I say this as a viewer, not as a real person, because as a real person, you should always say no if you're not ready.
Do you take Jed as your husband?
That is so rude. Netflix is so rude. We're going to the next episode. I'm not waiting. I want to know. I want to know. I'm not waiting.
I vow to do all those things at a time when we're both ready.
Oh! No.
And I don't think that's today.
Yo, even Indiana was like, I'm out of here. What? Whoa. What? Okay. So those miscommunications must have been big enough for her, at least to postpone it for now, which, to be fair, this is a very rushed process. To be fair, she should actually wait about 6 months, you know, or something until she's ready. I think the problem with this experiment is, though you can find your high compatibility partner, I think it is still a rushed process.
I'm sorry. I just think there's so much more we need to learn about each other. But I hope it's not the end of us. It's the beginning.
Okay, he seems to be, you know, trying to get his emotions under control. He seems okay. When I say he seems okay, I mean he doesn't seem angry at her.
Can I have to go?
That must have taken an incredible amount of bravery and strength, because they were so high compatible in seemingly that for her to make that decision must have been a huge shock to everybody. But I'm so glad she made it, because if she had no doubts, she would have said yes. The fact that she had doubts means she has to say no. I don't think you should go into a marriage feeling doubtful.
You've done the right thing. If that's what you feel in this moment, that's what you need to do.
In your own time, she promises to do all those things, but just not so quick.
You know, it's nice that his parents were also, you know, initially upset with how fast they were rushing into things. So honestly, I think the mom must feel relieved.
It's okay.
I'm a little frustrated that she's doing emotional labor for her mother right now because of the way I feel like she was parentified growing up. So her mom says, I'm upset. And she goes, it's okay, mama, it's okay. Again, it does happen with a lot of immigrant families where the kids end up doing a lot of parentification and emotional labor for their parents, which is, you know, I'm a little annoyed, but what?
We've got a few things to sort out. There's like discussions to be had.
Okay, so he's just telling people that there are still discussions to be had, which means he doesn't feel closed off to the possibility.
Someone look after my mum for a minute, please.
Yes. And see, just then she's like, can someone look after my mom for a minute? I wonder how much of this is her trauma in childhood, and, you know, can she see herself as someone separate from like her family? Can she really pick her husband over her family in a sense, right? I just feel like in this moment, the mom should be strong for her daughter, not reverse, right?
They will work it out. They will work it out. Jed, I want to make sure he's okay.
A bit like, it's just shocking, isn't it? Like, obviously doing all this, but can I ask why?
You know, all these arguments that we've been having put me in a very weird state of mind.
Yeah.
It's not a no. It's when we're ready.
See, if they had had that time together, if they had been talking this whole time, they could have worked it out. But instead, they went to bed upset. Like, the metaphor here, the analogy here is that they went to bed upset and they didn't have time to talk about it until the big day. You know, versus had they just talked it through and not separated and not had to do this whole reveal thing, they could have made sure together as a team and then walked in together as a team this day. Because if this was just a matter of like having doubts because they hadn't properly solidified their communication style, they could have talked that through these last few days. But of course, you know, ultimately they might need a few months. They might need some time. There's nothing wrong with people that are sure within 3 months and nothing wrong with people who need 6 months to be sure. Nothing wrong with people who need a year to be sure, right? It's not about right or wrong. It's just about, you know, how can we improve upon these situations?
I love you with all my heart.
I think what's devastating is I could never blindside my partner like this. I think that's why the model of the show sucks, because I would never want to hurt my partner the way it must hurt for Jed right now. And even though I understand that's how the show is made and that's what the contestants have to do, I think the way the show operates is deeply cruel in many ways. And it takes a very strong and mature person to handle this level of rejection in this position. And Jed has every right to not continue moving forward with this person because in many ways as well, two parts of high compatibility. Either you are actually high compatibility and you wouldn't have to say no at the altar, or you are high compatibility and you accept that your partner said no at the altar. Or you're not compatible whatsoever and you actually need to break up. But it could go either way because of the experiment. Like, we cannot watch this show and just project our own reality onto it, because this is a reality you and I did not sign up for, and I would not sign up for this because there's just too much unnecessary suffering within the model of the show. And yet I do enjoy watching it as a person, but I do find a lot of it deeply ultimately unethical. You know, which is interesting because other couples in the past have found their high compatibility partners and they're very happy through the show, but also, you know.
Probably the worst thing I think I've ever done in my life. I love Jed, but as much as I have felt ready during my process, recently we have been having some sort of miscommunications, arguments.
Everyone's getting inside because it's cold.
And having seen a different side to him and myself, I think that took me out of my bubble and made me realize that there's a lot more work that we need to do.
And a lot of the Love is Blind couples are really actually divorced a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, so I don't blame her.
Whatever happens is for the best. You have to go with
some time,
what you feel.
Yeah. Jed's parents are reassuring Bardha's parents that, like, whatever happens is for the best. I agree.
It's short
Yeah,
time.
it's short time.
Short time, yeah.
Very quick. Yeah.
Okay, nice embracing from Jed's parents.
Okay. Say I'm so sorry.
No.
We've had to go through all of this, and it breaks my heart to hurt him.
The time has to be right. You can't do it until you're ready.
I just want you to know that I love Jed very much.
I know you do.
And we knew from the beginning you're meant for each other.
I just really love this bubble so much. The families and the way they talk. I don't know that they're high compatibility partners, but I just appreciate how kind and passionate everyone's being. Why does this have me so emotional? I don't know why I'm impacted so much by their story, but appreciate the way everyone is being right now. Because, you know, you remember that some breakups, like the families fight, people are yelling, there's this whole thing, like, this is just so calm and compassionate and understanding.
No point to say yes to please anybody.
Oh, amen.
Thank you for being so understanding. I really appreciate it, and it wasn't easy.
She's got her reasons for it. She said how she felt, and yeah, I've got to respect it.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard though. He has to be able to feel his feelings and move through the shock of the being blindsided, you know?
Like, I miss him already. I'm in this dress and we're...
It almost would have been nice if they had left together in a way. You know what I mean? Like, it almost would have been nice if they had went on with the partying and hanging out and just said, like, we're going to take the time to date and get together. But it's almost like the show pulls them apart, or maybe that's what people feel like should happen.
I know my decision today could mean that he might not be able to overcome this or might not want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, she's saying she's aware that it might be the reason he won't want to continue. Like I said earlier, right? It could go either way. But at the end of the day, consent is the thing that matters the most.
But I know I've made the right decision.
Yeah, you can't make another decision. you know, if you doubt, you doubt. And I think that's just so important. With that said, I'm going to leave it here. When I come back, we have 2 other weddings, Megan and Kieran, and Sarover and Cal. Very interested to see how that goes. And then we have the reunion. I was about to say the ultimatum, the reunion. And I guess I'll see you then. Okay, thank you for liking, watching, subscribing, commenting, and I will see you for the next one. Bye-bye.